the addiction is the opportunity to win, or the anticipation of. It's the addiction is pulling the lever on
Yep,
the slot machine, or pushing the button on the slot machine.
that's right.
It's not the win itself.
Welcome to King Moves. In chess, the king moves one step at a time, but that single move can change everything. Each week, we explore mindset shifts and simple actions that could lead to the next breakthrough in your business and life. I'm your co-host, Ethan King, from Atlanta, Georgia, USA. Entrepreneur, TEDx speaker, and best-selling author of Wealth Beyond Money.
And I'm your co-host, Justin King, no relation to Ethan, from Cape Town, South Africa. Entrepreneur, speaker, and business growth strategist. Our journey crosses continents and cultures as we think out loud, challenge assumptions, and uncover the small moves that create big momentum. Welcome to King Moves. Let's start the conversation.
So, Justin, I know every once in a while we'll talk about what books we're reading. And right now I'm reading this book called The Molecule of More, and it's all about dopamine. So it's a neuroscience book. It's by this guy named Dr. Daniel Lieberman. And, dopamine is the brain chemical that really drives human behavior. And it's an eye-opening book because the premise of the book is basically like everything that we do is somehow driven by dopamine, and gets down into things we anticipate in expectations versus the reality, love, sex, creativity, politics. The politics one, I'm towards the end of the book now. I have mixed feelings on his approach and what he's saying about politics, because he makes a lot of generalizations, but he's basically saying that some people have more of a craving for dopamine, and that affects our behaviors in all of these different ways in life. So I figured it'd be kind of good to riff on that. I think it's a fascinating book and something that we could all use the knowledge of in our lives and in our business.
And you said you're getting towards the end of it. What's the thing that's jumped out to you that's helped you better understand your own life?
Well, I think about it a lot from a marketing angle, and getting booked, delivering a great speech, a keynote speech, delivering a great workshop. I think about it from the angle of how can I trigger this dopamine release in my audience? And I kind of been doing it by accident, but how can I be more intentional behind that? And dopamine is released, is the anticipation molecule.
Yeah.
So when we're going to, that's why learning something releases dopamine. Like, people feel great. You were talking about in a previous episode how you got really great feedback from one of your recent talks. Well, people feel invigorated when they've learned something new. It's because it's in anticipation of what they're going to do with this information now, how their life is going to change for the better because of something that you just learned. So that's why learning is a great dopamine release. So how can you inject more of that? You want to build anticipation and excitement as much as you can. So if you go back to, like, let's say getting booked, or whenever you're marketing something, where can you inject the dopamine in there to show people the payoff for them in the future so that they can feel that anticipation? And then when they actually do experience that thing or learn that thing from you, now they have the anticipation for their future. So more dopamine is released. And these social media platforms have mastered the dopamine game. That's what keeps you hooked. That's what literally dope, right? People say he's on dope. Well, it's dopamine. It's a natural chemical in our brain. Very, very fascinating topic.
I think what a lot of people don't understand, or don't realize, let me say that rather, is that it's the anticipation chemical. It's the addiction. So gamblers, as an example, the addiction isn't win. The addiction is the opportunity to win, or the anticipation of. It's the addiction is pulling the lever on the slot machine, or pushing the button on the slot machine.
Right.
It's not the win itself. And that's crazy. And I think when you start understanding that, it does shift things a lot. It's getting out onto the road. I suppose that in a way it's loving the way, and I'm simplifying this, but it's kind of, in my mind, I'm seeing it also as becoming addicted to the process and not necessarily always focused on the outcome. If I think of it in a different way as well, if we're wanting to do things in our lives, because we can focus on the outcome or see success, dopamine, and I'm butchering how I'm linking this, but dopamine being linked to your success metric is the way that we think of things. But what we're actually saying is that feeling that you should be addicted to is the process of getting to your success metric rather than the other way around. So I don't know. As I say, I think about it in a lot of different ways and how I can apply it in my life just to get myself to see things through a different lens.
Well, I'll talk about a couple of things that just came to mind. I just got off a call earlier today about someone who helps people who are exiting their business figure out their next move in life, because there have been so many studies that show levels of depression in people who have sold their business. Yeah, they might have millions in their bank account, but they're actually sad and depressed because they don't have anything to look forward to anymore. They don't have an identity. And that's the importance of that dopamine. Like, you got to have something that you're looking forward to, because that initial wire, once you've done all the travel or bought the thing, whatever it is you want to do, that wears off. So it's what's next. Dopamine is the what's next drug. That's what we're addicted
Yeah,
to. So how can you weave that into your life? And how I do it personally, like, I want to always be looking forward to something. Uh, Another, in my personal life, and I just did this. So I noticed myself doing this now subconsciously, weaving in the dopamine. I planned a family vacation, and I told my family, I gave them the plan ahead of time. I said, here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to go to Toronto, and we're going to do this and this and this. And then we're going to go to Niagara Falls, and we're staying at this hotel overlooking the falls. And then we're going to go to Cedar Point, which is the top, amusement park in the world. And we're going to ride the world's greatest roller coasters. So that anticipation before you go on vacation, like, you're excited about it, right? Even going to the airport, my kids love going to the airport and getting on planes. Why? It's not because that's exciting. I mean, it's not fun to go through TSA and stuff, but, or whatever, going through this airport security, that's kind of boring and kind of a hassle, but they're excited about it because they know something cool is about to happen once you get to the destination.
mm,
So all of having that next thing, and even during the vacation, we always had something to look forward to, because I've found that a lot of times in the past, once you actually get to your destination, you're not as excited anymore because now you're there. So it's the looking forward to of things that keeps us invigorated.
yeah. So what is the through line? Why did Dan Lieberman write the book, The Molecule of More? What is he ultimately trying to get us to understand?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm always fascinated by human behavior, human nature, what makes us behave the way that we do. And
Yeah,
most people don't know that it's driven by dopamine. We don't know why we're addicted to things. We don't, why are we addicted to sex and relationships or gambling or whatever it is. And a lot of times, once you understand what's happening on a scientific level, it makes it easier for you to then take control of that thing and make the necessary changes, because otherwise you might just think to yourself, oh, well, whatever, God just made me this way. When
yeah,
you really peel back the layers, you're like, oh, it's scientific, dude. You're getting an actual chemical released into your brain when you do this. And if you
yeah.
know that, then you can reverse engineer it.
It's interesting. So the one thing that's coming up for me now that I'm thinking of, that's it's making me really understand very differently, and this will hopefully resonate with listeners who have their own business. Well, anyone has their own business, even solopreneurs who've got a customer, got a client, and it's called the customer expectation pyramid. Have we spoken about it before? I
I
don't
don't
know if
think
we've
so.
spoken about it before, because I've spoken about it so many times that I can't always recall if we've chatted about it. But the customer expectation pyramid essentially has four levels to this pyramid, four S's. And I'll start on the second level, and the second level is satisfaction, and that's feeling that we've done enough if we're leaving our customers feeling satisfied. The problem with just leaving customers feeling satisfied is they will only be a customer, they'll only be a client until they find something better comes along, because satisfaction is not going to keep them. And the way I always like to describe that to customers is watching a series. And I'll say to them, if you watch the first episode of a series and it was satisfactory, what is the first thing that you say? People will be like, yeah, it was okay. It was okay.
Yeah.
that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to watch the next episode or invest the time. So that's important. So that's satisfaction. Then if we go to the bottom level of this pyramid, you've got sacrifice. So sacrifice now is where we're not delivering our promise to our customer or our client. So now essentially what we're doing is we're asking them to sacrifice energy, we're asking them to sacrifice money, we're asking them to sacrifice time. And again, if we compare that to watching a series, if you watch a show and it's a shit show, the first thing that you say is, well, that's 45 minutes of my life I'm never going to get back. So we feel like
Right.
we've sacrificed something. And then if we go
Mm,
up to the third level, now this is where we start getting into, and this does link back to the dopamine. When we get to the third level, this is where we start getting to the place that we're wanting to play. And that is a surprise. So you're
mm,
wanting to weave in moments of surprise or surprise and delight, whatever we wanting to call it, for our customers and clients. And again,
mm,
if I take it back to the comparison with a series, now that's watching a show, and suddenly you're like, holy shit, I did not see that coming. Man,
mm-hmm,
that's blown my mind. There's something to this series. There's something to this show. Like we've got you on the hook. And
mm,
ultimately at the top, level 4 of this pyramid, and at the top, and this is where I don't know too many businesses that are getting this right, but it's suspense. And that
mm,
is where your customers and clients live in anticipation of these moments of magic that you bring. So that's where you said you've used the word anticipation. It's the dopamine. And
yeah,
that's when, if we go back to the series, that's where you watch every single show because you like, what is going to happen at the end of this one? There's a cliffhanger every single time, and that
yeah,
leads you to flip and binge watch an entire season,
yeah,
and then you straight onto the episode 1 of the next season, and that's because you living in anticipation of in this place of suspense. So
yeah.
that's what this conversation has brought up for me.
So list those again.
We've got bottom of this pyramid is sacrifice. We're just not delivering what we should for our client or customer. Next up in the pyramid is satisfaction. So we
Okay.
we we delivering an okay job. We're doing what it says on the label, but that customer or client is only going to stay there for as long as they don't find something better. Where we've got to be living is moments of surprise as much as
Okay.
possible, and those can be small moments. And then if we get those right regularly, we find ourselves in suspense, where that customer is living in anticipation of these moments of magic that we're delivering for them.
Okay. Sacrifice, satisfaction,
Surprise.
surprise, and suspense. Okay. That's good. I
That's
love it.
that's it.
Great framework.
That's it. Yeah,
Yeah. Awesome.
gets
All
us
right. So
thinking
what's our king
differently.
move? What's our king move we're going to leave people with here?
Jeez, I'm gonna say let make it very practical and particularly from a business point of view. But look for as a start, look for moments of surprise that you can deliver to your customers. And if we can do that and we can do it on a regular basis, we'll hopefully tap into some of this dopamine that we were speaking about, where people start living in anticipation of, and that makes them excited to engage with you. I think there's something
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. Weave in and surprise. And then I will add to that and say, weave in the suspense. Let people know what's coming next.
Yeah,
What you're doing, whatever your offer is going to benefit them so that they have something to look forward to. And then you got to weave in that next, once you deliver on that promise, weave in the next thing. You got to have that cliffhanger. So get people addicted to whatever your product or service is. I love it. That's a wrap for today's episode of King Moves. Quick favor before we go. If this episode made you think differently or helped you see your next move more clearly, take 30 seconds and leave us a review. It helps the show reach leaders who need these conversations. Remember, in chess, like in business, one right move can change everything.
take today's action step, make your move, and build momentum. And if you found value in today's episode, share it with someone who's ready for the next breakthrough. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss our weekly conversations.
Until next time.